The final unredacted Ghislaine Maxwell deposition has been opened. Not rumored, not whispered, open, and inside its pages is something no palace, no prince, no PR empire was prepared for. A ledger, a list, a map of connections naming Prince Andrew and 8 other high-status figures tied to royal circles, 8 names, 8 hidden doors, and one door allegedly swinging straight into Meghan Markle's missing timeline. The palace didn't issue a denial. They didn't send a spokesperson. They froze, like a kingdom caught in winter in a single breath. This was no longer gossip, no longer an internet rumor. This was a forensic event, an avalanche of information heavy enough to crush an entire royal narrative. And the moment those 8 names surfaced, the people behind palace walls understood something terrifying. The story they sold the world might not survive the truth that had just been unlocked. When danger hits a monarchy, they don't shout, they don't scramble, they go silent. A silence so sharp it feels like the air itself is holding its breath. Inside Buckingham Palace, zero trust protocol snapped into place. Prince William, usually calm even under fire, severed the final lines of communication to Montecito. No more messages, no more gentle warnings, no more attempts at reason. Because you don't negotiate with a threat, you contain it. Thousands of miles away, the Montecito mansion felt the shift. Harry paced like a man watching his world dissolve grain by grain. For years, he believed he had rescued a woman misunderstood by the world. He believed he was protecting a soulmate from a cruel institution. But now, as headlines crept closer to one word, trafficking, something inside him cracked. The question was no longer, why did the palace dislike her? It had become, what did the palace know that I didn't? In a single morning, the fairy tale fractured. And the panic wasn't about another interview. It was about the possibility that the royal family had married into something far more dangerous than drama, PR chaos, or family conflict. They feared they had married into a network. To understand why the palace is shaking, you have to step into the part of the story they never wanted seen. The part hidden behind yacht decks, velvet rope clubs, private suites, and first-class flights that never matched Meghan's paycheck. The 8 royals named in the Maxwell files weren't random aristocrats. They formed a cluster, a web of European and Middle Eastern princes who drifted between Monaco penthouses, Dubai towers, and Mediterranean yachts without leaving paper trails. Powerful enough to vanish, wealthy enough to reappear, the kind of people who never run out of money, only secrets. During Meghan's missing years, the blurred stretch between 2013 and 2016, her timeline overlapped with the very places this cluster frequented. Istanbul, Phuket, St. Bart's, the French Riviera, yacht circuits where identities dissolve and privacy laws soften. The media framed her as a hustling actress. The transcripts suggest something else. A woman appearing in elite spaces she couldn't afford, wearing jewelry she couldn't buy, photographed beside people she shouldn't have met. Then there was Soho House, described in the transcript not as a trendy club, but as a processing center. A filtration system where the ambitious met the untouchable, where people weren't discovered, they were selected. Every piece of this map points to one conclusion. Meghan's ascent didn't follow Hollywood logic. It followed network logic. And if even one of the 8 royal names intersects with her path, the monarchy isn't facing a PR problem. It's facing a breach, one that began long before Harry ever walked into the room where she introduced herself as just a girl from Los Angeles. Before the wedding, before the world knew her name. Meghan moved through cities that didn't align with her bank account. Istanbul, Phuket, St. Bart's, quiet corners of the world where billionaires lived like shadows and privacy bent like soft metal. These weren't vacation spots for a cable actress. They were hubs, places where strangers entered and left with unexplained connections. And through those doors, one man appeared again and again. Marcus, not a friend, not family, a gatekeeper, the man who controlled access to a world most people never see. Then there was Soho House again, marketed as a creative club, operating like a velvet-lined filter. Access wasn't earned, it was granted. The promising were polished, the connected were introduced upward. Marcus arranged the tables. Marcus organized the meetings. Marcus rode beside her in SUVs long before she sat beside a prince. These weren't coincidences, they were placements. The missing years now look less like wandering and more like preparation. Money disappears, phones break, flight records shift, but some things refuse to vanish, especially what glitters. Meghan's pre-royal lifestyle never added up. Not the suites, not the yachts, not the miles flown. Someone was paying, and the trail leads to a different kind of currency. Jewelry. The showered earrings became the brightest clue. Rare, expensive, impossible to ignore. They appeared, vanished, and reappeared on timelines that never aligned with official explanations. Borrowed, then gifted, then re-explained, because diamonds don't lie. Their origins cling like fingerprints. Photos suggest Meghan may have worn them before the alleged gift date, raising a question no stylist can answer. Who placed those stones in her hands, and why? If even one of the 8 royal names connects to the giver, the earrings aren't accessories, they're receipts. Prince Andrew's scandals once felt distant from Harry's romance, separate branches, separate shame, but the dates begin to overlap. Andrew's documented ties to Ghislaine Maxwell are already public. For years, this was treated as his disgrace alone. But what happens when the circles he moved in overlap with the circles Meghan occupied during her missing years? Suddenly, her claim that she barely knew Andrew begins to wobble. How do you move through an orbit without knowing its center? Then comes the whisper of a dossier, a private report William allegedly reviewed when Harry announced his intention to marry. Travel patterns, club access, jewelry trails, names that led William to say, "Don't rush this." Not jealousy, not snobbery, a warning. One Harry refused to hear. Whenever trouble closed in, something else appeared, a blurred photo, a perfectly timed family moment. The children became shields, soft innocence used to redirect impact. But now the storm is different. This isn't about opinion, it's about succession. Royal law is older than the palaces themselves. One rule stands above all others. A royal child must be born of the body. If not, everything collapses. Titles, status, history. For years, questions lingered. Why the distant photos? Why sealed birth details? Why the fog surrounding everything? Now those whispers return louder. A threatened monarchy demands certainty. If the truth doesn't match the story, titles vanish. If cooperation is refused, the refusal becomes the answer. As pressure rises, Harry changes. Quieter, restless. Wandering the Montecito garden like a man trying to remember who he was before all of this. Once the Maxwell name surfaced, he stopped being just a husband. He became collateral. Behind the scenes, the palace moves without noise. No threats, no speeches, silence. The kind that pulls a prince home. A back channel opens to the Harry that existed before the chaos. A safe estate is prepared. The plan is simple. He travels alone, he lands in the UK, and once inside his jurisdiction, the gate closes. The separation isn't filed in California. It's filed in London, under rules Meghan can't bend. When the extraction completes, Meghan reaches for the last weapon she has. Promises of diaries and secrets. But the calls go unanswered. The brands fade. The publishers vanish. She isn't feared anymore. She's avoided. A title hangs in limbo, waiting to be shelved beside exiled names history already knows. Across the ocean, the monarchy stands steady. And in Montecito, lights flicker in an empty mansion. A stage without an audience. A duchess without a kingdom. A rise so steep, it finally ran out of air. The fall isn't loud. It's quiet. The kind of quiet that follows a storm after the damage is done. And history moves forward, while she remains frozen in the spotlight she built herself.